Good evening, everyone. I want to talk to you about something that we all encounter in life, but often don't discuss. The moments when we realize that someone's actions don't match their words, when we see something unsettling beneath the surface. It's one of those moments where the mask slips and we suddenly know what's really going on. But I want to give you a little more clarity about that moment. When someone knows that you've seen them for who they truly are, there's a certain behavior that tends to unfold. I want to share 7 things that people like this often do when they realize, you know what they're up to? 1, they play the victim. One of the most common things someone will do when they realize that you know their true nature is to immediately play the victim. It's almost like a reflex, something they revert to when their power is threatened. They'll try to make you feel sorry for them, like you've done something wrong, just by seeing through their facade. They might say things like, I can't believe you would think that about me, or I'm the one who's been hurt here. It's a tactic meant to shift the spotlight away from their wrongdoings and place it on themselves. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, they want to make you feel guilty for even recognizing that something is off. They want to pull you into their emotional chaos, to make you question your own experiences and perceptions. Why? Because if they can turn you into the villain in the story, they can deflect any responsibility and continue their pattern of manipulation. They say, what makes this so dangerous is that it can leave you feeling confused and conflicted. Here you are trying to hold them accountable, and they're now portraying themselves as the injured party. Suddenly you're questioning whether you misunderstood the situation, whether you're being too harsh, or whether you've just misunderstood their intentions all along. This is the crux of why playing the victim is such a powerful tool for someone who is trying to avoid accountability. Now, they're counting on your empathy. They know that most of us have been conditioned to care for others, to offer a shoulder when someone is hurt, to listen when someone feels wronged. And because of that, they'll use every ounce of vulnerability to manipulate your emotions. They'll turn the tables and make it about how tough things have been for them, how they've been misunderstood, how they're struggling, all while deflecting any real conversation about their harmful behavior. But here's the thing, playing the victim is a form of manipulation, not an honest emotional response. It's not a sign of vulnerability, it's an act of control. By casting themselves as the victim, they create a power dynamic where you feel like you have to fix it, and they maintain their position of power without having to make any real change or face the consequences of their actions. When this happens, you need to recognize it for what it is. It's not about you, it's about them trying to regain control. You are allowed to stand in your truth even when they try to make you doubt it. Playing the victim is a tactic meant to silence your voice, but don't let it. Stay strong in your knowing and be courageous enough to keep seeing the truth even when it's uncomfortable. 2, they gaslight you. When someone knows that you know their true nature, one of the most insidious tactics they'll use is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where they systematically deny your reality, twist your perception, and make you doubt your own thoughts, feelings, and memories. It's an attempt to make you question your grip on reality, your truth, so they can keep your power over you. What gaslighting looks like in practice is often subtle at first. It can be as simple as denying things you know happened. They'll say things like, that's not what happened, you're remembering it wrong, or you're just being overly sensitive, it wasn't that bad. The goal is to chip away at your confidence in yourself and make you feel unsure of what you know to be true. As this continues, you begin to feel like you're losing your mind. You start doubting your own judgment, wondering if maybe you are overreacting. Maybe you're just being too emotional. Maybe your memory isn't as reliable as you thought. And that's exactly what the person doing the gaslighting wants. They need you to question yourself so they can control the narrative, leaving you unable to trust your own thoughts or instincts. Gaslighting is particularly dangerous because it doesn't just involve lying, it involves manipulating your reality so thoroughly that even the most confident person might start to feel confused, self-doubting, and even powerless. You might find yourself apologizing when you know you've done nothing wrong, second-guessing conversations that you're certain happened, or feeling guilty when you've been the one harmed. They'll distort the truth until you start to feel like everything is your fault. If they've done something hurtful, they might say, I never said that, you're just imagining things, or you're just too sensitive to handle the truth. They might even create entire false narratives or alternative facts that make you question your experiences. Over time, this wears you down, making you more vulnerable to their manipulation. Gaslighting also has the effect of making you feel isolated. As they distort your reality, you might start feeling like no one else will understand. You might even start questioning whether anyone else has experienced the same things, which allows the gaslighter to deepen their control. They create a false world where your emotions, your experiences, and your reality are always in question. But here's the truth. You are seeing things clearly. Your perception is valid. Your feelings matter. You don't need to shrink in the face of someone else's attempts to twist reality. Recognizing gaslighting is the first step toward reclaiming your power. It's a wake-up call to trust yourself, to anchor in your own truth, and to stop second-guessing your worth. When you're gaslighted, it's crucial to remember that the person doing it is trying to avoid accountability. They want to control the narrative and keep you off balance so they can continue their behavior without facing the consequences. The moment you begin to trust yourself again and see through their manipulation, you begin to break free from their grip. And that's exactly what they fear most. Your ability to see the truth, no matter how much they try to distort it. 3, they try to isolate you. One of the most dangerous things that someone who wants to control you will do when they realize that you know their true nature is attempt to isolate you. Isolation is a key strategy for maintaining control. Because when you're alone, you become more vulnerable to manipulation, doubt, and confusion. And they understand that if they can sever your connection to others, you'll have fewer people who can challenge their narrative or give you alternative perspectives. It's a classic tactic used by manipulators to weaken your resolve and increase their power over you. This isolation can happen in different ways. It might start with subtle comments or suggestions about the people in your life, your friends, your family, or your colleagues. They may try to plant seeds of doubt about these people, telling you things like, I don't think they have your best interests at heart, or, they've been talking behind your back. Slowly, they create a sense of mistrust between you and your support system, causing you to pull away from those who might offer you support, love, or validation. It's not just about undermining relationships, though. They might also begin to limit your access to your support network directly. They could discourage you from spending time with people who care about you, saying things like, you don't need them, we can handle everything ourselves, or you're too busy, you don't have time for them. The goal is to make you feel like you don't need anyone else, and to convince you that they are the only person you can rely on. This tactic of isolation can also extend to creating situations where you feel like you're constantly in a state of emotional or mental crisis, so that you rely on them more and more. They might create drama or chaos in your life, making you feel like you have no choice but to stay close to them, as if they're the only one who truly understands you. By making you feel like no one else can relate to your situation, they hope to deepen your grip on you. Another form of isolation is emotional, by controlling how you feel about others. They'll subtly erode your self-esteem, making you feel insecure and unworthy of the relationships you have outside of them. By diminishing your sense of self-worth, they push you further into a space where you feel like you can't connect with others because you're not good enough or because you don't deserve that kind of support. Well, this emotional isolation is just as powerful as physical separation. The danger of this isolation is that it starts to distort your view of reality. When you're alone, it's easier for someone to convince you that their version of events is the only valid one, and that others just don't get it. They might even convince you that you don't deserve love, friendship, or support, that no one else can understand or help you. But here's the truth. Isolation is a tool of control, not care. Healthy relationships are built on connection, mutual respect, and trust. When someone isolates you, it's not because they care about you, but because they want to make you more dependent on them. They want to keep you in a place where you are easier to manipulate and easier to. You have the right to reach out for help, to lean on your support system, and to nurture relationships that lift you up. No one, no matter how manipulative, has the right to convince you that you're better off alone. If someone tries to isolate you, that should be a red flag, a clear sign that they are trying to maintain power over you by cutting off the very sources of strength and support that are available to you. So when you recognize that someone is trying to isolate you, don't let them. Seek out those who care about you, those who see your worth, and those who will remind you of your value when the manipulator tries to convince you otherwise. Isolation is a tactic, not a truth. And the truth is that you are worthy of connection, love, and respect. Or they become more charming. When someone realizes that you see through their manipulative behavior, one of the most common tactics they'll use to regain control is to become even more charming. This shift in demeanor is a calculated effort to win back your trust and make you second-guess your judgment. The manipulator knows that their previous actions have caused a rift, and they understand that they must re-establish themselves in your eyes as someone who is lovable, likable, and irresistible. This is the classic bait and slip. The charming version of themselves is a tactic to make you forget the damage they've caused and lure you back into their web. In these moments, they will turn on the charisma like a switch, offering affection, compliments, or gestures that may seem like an attempt to make up for the hurt they caused. They might shower you with attention, send thoughtful gifts, or make grand romantic gestures to rekindle the warmth and connection that was lost. They may even go as far as apologizing in a way that feels sincere and genuine, making you believe that they have learned their lesson and are truly remorseful. They could say things like, "I can't live without you," or "You mean everything to me, I'll do anything to make things right." These statements seem heartfelt, but they're often just a way to manipulate your emotions. At the same time, they may use their charm to disarm your defenses, making you feel guilty for doubting them or for setting boundaries. They'll make you feel like you're the one who's difficult or unreasonable for questioning their behavior. "I just want to make you happy," they'll say, positioning themselves as the one who is selflessly doing everything they can to mend things. They may present themselves as a changed person, using charm and affection to convince you that they are no longer the same person who hurt you. The manipulative nature of this charm is that it feels so good to be on the receiving end of it. It's easy to get swept up in the flattery, the attention, and the emotional warmth. After all, who doesn't want to feel valued and loved? The manipulator knows this, which is why they use charm to pull you back into their orbit. It's like a drug that temporarily makes you forget the manipulative tactics they've used in the past. However, their charm is fleeting, and it's designed to create a sense of dependency. Once they've regained your trust and you're back under their spell, the manipulations will likely resume, just in a subtler, more covert way. The charm they display is a tool, not a genuine expression of love or affection. It is their way of securing your compliance and making you overlook their previous behavior. The key to recognizing this tactic is to notice the inconsistencies between their charming behavior and their underlying actions. While they may be sweet, loving, and attentive in the moment, they may continue to undermine your confidence, disregard your boundaries, or manipulate your emotions when they believe they have you back under their control. The charm is simply a way to rebuild the connection, only to exploit it later. Why? Recognizing this behavior is crucial to protecting yourself from falling back into the trap. It's important to assess whether their actions align with their words, and if they are consistently showing respect for your boundaries and needs. If the charm fades and the manipulation returns, it's clear that their charm was never about love or respect. It was a strategy to regain control. In the end, true affection is not about being swept off your feet with charisma or charm. It's about consistency, mutual respect, and trust that builds over time. Someone who manipulates you with charm is only trying to distract you from the reality of their behavior and maintain the power they have over you. 5, they shift the blame. One of the most insidious tactics someone will use when they realize that you know their true nature is shifting the blame. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, they will twist the situation and make it seem like the fault lies with you or with anyone else, rather than themselves. This is a manipulation strategy designed to deflect attention away from their wrongdoings, making it harder for you to hold them accountable. The shift often begins subtly. They might say things like, "If you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had to act this way," or "I only said that because you pushed me to it." This tactic aims to make you feel responsible for their behavior, even though you're not the one causing harm. The key here is deflection. They don't want to be seen as the one who has done something wrong, so they reframe the narrative in a way that shifts the focus from their actions to yours. Over time, these blame-shifting tactics become more aggressive. They may accuse you of being overly sensitive, too emotional, or just plain irrational. You might hear comments like, "You're just making a big deal out of nothing," or "I don't know why you're so upset. I didn't do anything wrong." These comments create confusion, making you question whether your feelings are justified. The goal is to gaslight you into thinking that the problem lies with you, not with their harmful behavior. Blame shifting is often coupled with other forms of manipulation, such as guilt tripping. They may say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me," or "I can't believe you're accusing me of this when I've always been there for you." These statements make you feel as though you owe them for their supposed good deeds, making it harder for you to hold them accountable. The manipulation works because it tugs on your emotions, making you feel like the problem is your fault and ultimately convincing you to back down. They may also involve others in the blame-shifting process, making you feel like everyone else is on their side. They might tell you, "Everyone else agrees with me, you're the only one who doesn't see it," or "People are starting to think you're the one who's out of line." By involving third parties, they create a sense of social pressure, pushing you into a position where you feel like you have to conform to their version of events, even when you know it's not true. What makes blame-shifting so damaging is that it undermines your ability to trust yourself. You start questioning your own feelings, thoughts, and perceptions. You begin to feel like you're the one in the wrong, even though you know deep down that you're not. Over time, this erosion of self-trust can lead to anxiety, self-doubt, and confusion. The manipulator wins because you're no longer focused on their behavior, but on trying to figure out where you went wrong. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for someone else's actions, especially if those actions are hurtful or harmful. Blame shifting is a manipulative tactic meant to avoid accountability and maintain control. It's a way of making you feel small, insignificant, and responsible for things that aren't your fault. When you recognize this behavior, it's important to stand firm in your truth. Acknowledge your feelings, your boundaries, and your right to be treated with respect. You are allowed to hold people accountable for their actions, and you don't need to accept the blame for things that aren't yours to own. Blame shifting is a manipulation that thrives in the absence of clarity. So when someone tries to make you the scapegoat, take a step back and reflect. Trust your own understanding of the situation and don't let their tactics derail your sense of right and wrong. You are not the problem. They are. And it's okay to say, this isn't on me. 6, they escalate the control. When someone knows that you see through their manipulations, one of the most alarming things they will do is escalate their attempts to control you. Initially, their control may seem subtle or disguised as concern, but once they sense their grip loosening, they will intensify their efforts to keep you under their influence. Escalating control is a way for them to reassert their power and prevent you from, breaking free from their hold. At first, the control might appear as small, seemingly harmless requests. They may ask you to make little adjustments in your life that seem minor. Can you do this for me? It would mean a lot. Or I'd feel better if you didn't do that. Over time, these small requests become more demanding, and what started as a few minor concessions can escalate into significant changes in your behavior, your beliefs, and even your relationships. As the manipulator escalates their control, they might start to undermine your decision-making ability. They will question every choice you make, making you feel like you can't be trusted to make your own decisions. Are you sure you want to do that? I don't think it's a good idea, they may say, or I know what's best for you, you should listen to me. These comments subtly erode your confidence, making you doubt your judgment and rely on their opinion more and more. The more they escalate their control, the more they start to isolate you from your autonomy. They may criticize or diminish your accomplishments, telling you that you wouldn't have succeeded without their guidance. They might say, you're only where you are because I helped you, or no one else could have done this for you the way I have. This manipulation reinforces the idea that you are incapable of succeeding without them, further tightening their grip on you. They may also manipulate your time and energy, controlling how you spend both. They might become angry or upset if you spend time with others or focus on your own goals. They may say things like, I need you here with me right now, or why are you prioritizing them over me? Their goal is to ensure that your time and energy are always focused on them, leaving you with little room for yourself or for other relationships. They might even use guilt to ensure that you comply. After everything I've done for you, you're going to leave me hanging now? Emotional control also plays a huge role in their escalation. As you start to pull away or assert your independence, they may increase the emotional stakes to make you feel responsible for their well-being. If you leave me, I don't know how I'll survive, or you're the only person who understands me. These emotional pleas are designed to make you feel trapped, as though you have no choice but to stay in the relationship because of the emotional burden they place on you. In some cases, they might even escalate their behavior to more overt forms of control, such as threatening to end the relationship, spreading lies about you, or using your vulnerabilities against you. This could look like them making threats of self-harm, creating dramatic outbursts, or threatening to expose your personal information or secrets. All of these tactics are meant to make you feel like you have no way out, ensuring that you are too fearful or emotionally drained to resist their control. But here's the truth. Escalating control is not about love or care. It's about maintaining dominance, keeping you in a position where you feel dependent on them and incapable of thriving on your own. Healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, equality, and the freedom to be your authentic self. When someone escalates their control, they are trying to rob you of that freedom. Recognizing the signs of escalating control is crucial for protecting your autonomy and mental well-being. Once you see it for what it is, you can start setting clear boundaries and finding the strength to regain your independence. You are not obligated to submit to their control, and you do not need to feel guilty for choosing your own path. Escalating control is a sign of weakness, not strength. The person using it is terrified of losing their grip on you, and that's why they become more desperate in their efforts. You are allowed to break free, to reclaim your voice, and to live life on your own terms. The more you assert your independence, the less power they will have over. 7, they will test your boundaries. When someone realizes that you know their true nature, one of the most persistent things they will do is test your boundaries. Testing boundaries is a way for them to gauge how much they can get away with, how far they can push you, and whether you will stand firm in protecting yourself. They are constantly probing for cracks in your defenses to see if they can weaken your resolve or break down the limits you've set to protect your well-being. It starts innocuously enough with small, seemingly harmless requests that don't seem like a big deal at the time. They might ask you to do something that goes against your preferences or comfort zone, and it might feel like they're just being nice or innocent in their request. For example, they might ask for more of your time than you're comfortable giving, or they may push you into situations that feel uncomfortable but seem manageable. They might say, "Come on, just this once, what's the harm?" Or, "I really need this from you, can't you just help me out?" At first, these requests may feel like small compromises, harmless, but over time, they begin to add up. The manipulator is testing to see if you'll resist or if you'll comply without question. The more you let them push your limits, the more they'll escalate the demands. They'll continue to ask for more, progressively trying to chip away at the boundaries you've set. If they sense that you'll give in, they'll keep asking for bigger, more intrusive things, all under the guise of it's no big deal or it's just a small favor. When you do push back or set clear limits, they might act offended or upset. They'll try to make you feel guilty for asserting your boundaries, telling you things like, "I can't believe you're doing this to me after everything I've done for you," or "You're being too difficult. Why can't you just be more flexible?" They know that your boundaries are essential for maintaining your personal autonomy, so they will challenge them in an attempt to weaken your sense of self-preservation and make you feel like you're being unreasonable. They may even test your emotional boundaries, pushing you to share more than you're comfortable with, or using your vulnerabilities against you. They could try to manipulate you into revealing personal information, using it to control or guilt trip you later on. For example, they might say, "I can't believe you didn't tell me about that. You don't trust me." Or, "If you really cared about me, you tell me everything." The goal is to make you feel like your boundaries are preventing you from truly connecting with them, thereby pushing you to open up in ways that make you uncomfortable. In some cases, they will push the limits of what you'll tolerate in terms of respect and behavior. They might disregard your emotional needs, ignore your feelings, or even treat you disrespectfully to see how much you will tolerate. They may say hurtful things or act in ways that make you feel small or insignificant, all while testing how much you'll put up with before standing up for yourself. "Why are you so sensitive?" Or "You're overreacting again," are typical phrases designed to undermine your boundaries, making you second-guess your right to set limits. The worst part of this is that they may frame their boundary testing as if it's for your benefit. They might claim that their requests are a sign of care or love, saying, I'm just trying to help you. Or I'm only doing this because I care about you. They may even go so far as to frame their violation of your boundaries as a form of tough love, where they convince you that they're doing this to help you grow, even though their true intention is to get what they want without respect for your comfort or well-being. But here's the truth, your boundaries are yours to define. You have the right to say no, to set limits, and to protect your emotional, physical, and mental space. No one should make you feel guilty for asserting your boundaries, nor should anyone manipulate you into compromising them. Setting boundaries is an essential act of self-respect and self-care, and those who genuinely care about you will respect them, not test them. Recognizing when someone is testing your boundaries is crucial to protecting your peace and your well-being. If you allow these tests to go unchecked, they can slowly erode your sense of self-worth and your ability to stand firm in what you need. However, by staying vigilant, practicing assertiveness, and reinforcing your boundaries, you can safeguard your emotional health and maintain your autonomy, regardless of how many times they test your limits. So when you recognize these behaviors, don't shrink. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't back away from your truth. You're allowed to stand tall in your knowing. You are enough. You are worthy of integrity, love, and peace. And when you see the truth, when you choose to speak it, you make room for the possibility of something better. You make room for your own growth, your own freedom. The real power doesn't lie in the hands of those who manipulate or deceive. The real power is in your ability to see, to act with courage, and to protect yourself fiercely. Thank you.